Hello there.
I've been rewatching the prequels. Not for May the 4th or anything, I'm just always thinking about Star Wars, and it had been like a decade. So at this point, exactly half of the theatrical release Star Wars have been bad movies, but the prequels are interesting because while they're bad movies, they have good value. The costume design, sound design, alien design, ship design are all amazing. Just shame about the story, especially the dialogue.
Or more beautiful, I mean. Well, for a senator, I mean.
And the racism.
Quickly to disrupt all communications down there.
But there are valuable things. Gendy's Clone Wars and the CGI show seem to do good stuff with it. There is one scene I keep thinking about that serves as a microcosm of the good of the prequels, what could have been. The opening space fight of Revenge of the Sith has all of the quirks of the prequels, but the levels are adjusted properly in a way that they aren't, except maybe a few other times. Each movie gets a couple, I guess, and I'm gonna touch on all of them. We start with bombastic drums. Well, I'm ahead of myself already. We actually start with the title crawl, but it's not a very good one. If you want a good title crawl in the prequels, look to episode 2. That's the first other good scene I'm touching on. Now, we start with the bombastic drums. John Williams went harder on these movies than any other. Better score than the original trilogy. At me. We get time to process the new ships, see them flying in tandem before they crest the Venator, and we see the full scale of the battle happening. There are ships to excess, one of the quirks of the prequels, but it's fine, there's still good chaos to it, even if the sheer number and proximity of ships alleviates the scene of its weight, both literal and metaphoric. I'll accept it, this is a bombastic opening to a camp film. The escalation of action is great in this scene, and no part overstays its welcome. We get the Jedi fighters, then the enemy droids, the friendly ARC fighters, the S-foils in attack position, and the first pass. Droids and clones are in danger, but we know the heroes have this. They don't deal with all the droids, so we get the escalation, the twist that lets the action continue, but more difficult. The clone fighters are all wiped out. Then the missiles come. Anakin is okay, but Obi-Wan is put in nominal danger. The tension is built through established character differences, i.e. Obi-Wan not being the most comfortable in the cockpit.
Alright, R4. No, nothing too fancy.
Because Obi-Wan failed to deal with the missiles, he doesn't get blown up. Instead, there's escalation, like before. The missiles unleash buzz droids. The new difficulty? His droid gets got.
Oh dear.
Anakin tries to help by shooting them off, but it doesn't work. The new difficulty, the escalation resulting from that decision? Obi-Wan's S-foils fall off, and the buzz droids continue their work. Anakin gets to try another thing, this time scraping them off. This works mostly, but now puts Anakin's astromech in danger. Another great escalation. We saw what happens to the droids who get buzzed with Obi-Wan's, who we didn't care about, but now it's with a character we know, R2-D2. With the help?
Get him, R2.
Of both Obi-Wan and Anakin, R2 defeats the last droid, and we finish with an excuse to make sure that they don't have an exit past here. There isn't a moment where we think the heroes are dunsies, but there doesn't have to be. We are kept thinking, how are they going to get out of this one? And each time they try and fail, there are consequences, but never so great as to be insurmountable. A clear arc of action and resolution.
We got him, R2.
The last time Star Wars vehicle action was this good was the first lap of the pod race, which is good scene number 2. This scene is also where the dialogue between Obi-Wan and Anakin is at its most natural.
The one crawling with vulture droids.
Oh, I see it. Oh, this is going to be easy.
One of the conflicts of the trilogy stems from Obi-Wan acting as both mentor and equal.
That was some shortcut, Anakin. He went completely the other way. Once again, you've proved
If you'll excuse me.
Ewan McGregor's charisma is what sells this at all in the rest of the films.
I hate it when he does that.
But here we see them banter and complement each other's skills and how that leads to some cockiness from Anakin.
The General's command ship is dead ahead.
Well, have you noticed the shields are still up?
Sorry, Master.
Bad feeling about this.
Dave Filoni of the CG Clone Wars recently defended Duel of the Fates, talking about how if Qui-Gon had lived, then Anakin would have had a full mentor rather than the half-mentor, half-peer in Obi-Wan. He frames it in family unit terms that I don't think are great. You can be a full person without a father or standard Western family unit, but I think he has part of a point. That Obi-Wan wasn't prepared to be a master, not even being a full Jedi Knight when he took Anakin as an apprentice. And this may be feeding into Anakin's foolhardy tendencies, which is demonstrated quite nicely in the good action scene of Episode 2, the first half of the Count Dooku fight. Obi-Wan understands the danger a Sith poses and tries to take the lead on battle strategy.
We'll take him together. You're going slowly on the left.
Taking him
now!
No, Anakin, no! No!
But Anakin Leroy Jenkins and gets wrecked. Light tangent, that fight is great and holds the tension and character of the lightsaber fight of Empire, until there's a very clear break when Anakin stands entirely still, even so the wide can see it, and Dooku does the arm choppy, and the rest is just freed from restraints of character development, let's say. While the battle over Coruscant doesn't have Anakin full-on disobeying, there is that tension, and it's brought up right at the start when a clone pilot, he's just named, this one,
Oddball?
has droids tailing him.
They're all over me!
Anakin wants to help,
I'm gonna go help.
but Obi-Wan says,
No, they are doing their job, then we can do ours.
This line encapsulates part of the hubris of the Jedi, that both direct and indirect led to their downfall. Indirectly, it's a trust in systems that are clearly failing on every angle, like the mysterious soldiers that came pre-ordered. Ooh, and a GameStop pre-order bonus. A Purge Trooper pin? Sweet. Wait, Purge? What? This is a thread that peeks its head when we first meet Anakin, and a scene that's the only reason this line over Coruscant caught my attention. The Skywalkers have Qui-Gon over for dinner, and Anakin notices Qui-Gon is a Jedi. Anakin lets us see what the myth of the Jedi was in the time of the Republic.
No one can kill a Jedi.
And gives us an ideal of what the Jedi should be.
I had a dream I was a Jedi. I came back here and freed all the slaves. Have you come to free us?
No, I'm afraid not.
I think you have. Why else would you be here?
This is a sentence that hits pretty hard. Slavery, real bad, and that we have peacekeepers knowingly letting this pass is not great.
I can see there's no fooling you, Anakin. We're on our way to Coruscant, the central system in the Republic, on a very important mission.
There is selfishness in their answer. If this were like the samurai films westerns like Star Wars were based on, they would have rolled into this dusty desert town and fixed all of its problems before heading out at the end. Hell, look at The Mandalorian for that kind of storytelling. But they're not. They're only here as long as they have to be. There's a Twitter thread comic done by comic maker Faith Erin Hicks that illuminates this hubris, this sense of duty to the point of harm. It's pretty telling, right, that even though Anakin has prophetic dreams, when he does become a Jedi, he doesn't free his home planet from slavery. This is the other reason I think Dave Filoni is off on his analysis of Duel of the Fates. As much as Qui-Gon was on the edge of the system,
but Qui-Gon is ahead of them all, and that's why he's not part of the council.
he still had all the same flaws as the rest of the Jedi.
Have you come to free us?
No, they are doing their job, then we can do ours.
The tension of Anakin's idealism does come up again in the battle over Coruscant, where, beset with buzz droids, Obi-Wan tells Anakin to forget him and move on.
The mission!
When your motto becomes, well, we can't save everybody, you lose the will to save anybody. I said I'd get to all the good prequel scenes, so this is as good a time as any to talk about my favorite. The one that gets my head abuzz with possibility. And it's precisely the one I found the most boring and confusing when I was a kid with Attack of the Clones on a VHS player in the basement sitting on a beanbag chair. Count Dooku talking to a captured Obi-Wan. This isn't a good scene like the others have been, exactly. The dialogue is rough, though Christopher Lee makes it look easy.
I thought you were the leader here, Dooku.
This had nothing to do with me, I assure you. I will petition immediately to have you set free.
The blocking and composition don't convey anything except circles? The lighting's got a cool idea, but it isn't used to any effect. What gets my head buzzing is the capital P plot delivered here. Dooku tells Obi-Wan exactly what's happening, that Sidious is in charge of the Senate. He omits that Sidious is also the puppeteer of the Separatists, but unlike Vader's Together We Could Rule the Galaxy and Empire, he lays out the mechanics of what he's offering, too. The how.
You must join me, Obi-Wan. And together, we will destroy the Sith.
It comes to nothing, and this scene doesn't mean anything besides probably being the basis of Dooku as mildly subversive to Sidious in the Clone Wars show, but if this was emphasized and refined more, the story of the prequels could have been as good as its art design. But yeah, then they get into the airlock, do real big flippies, and slice through the battalion of droids such that it makes you wonder how they haven't just won the war yet when two Jedi can take a light stroll and decimate an army.